All right, some news and notes and talk for the day. We are up to Thursday, January 31st, so February 1st tomorrow. We're 25 days from the deadline. And of course, the deadline is on everybody's minds and in every article you're going to read regarding hockey right now. But let's talk about some other stuff too. Jamie McGinn's on waivers for the Florida Panthers, and if you're a Panthers fan saying Jamie McGinn hasn't played that this year, you're right. He has a $3.33 million cap hit. He's been rehabbing from injury, and they're putting him on waivers with the idea of sending him down to the American League and then potentially bringing him back up if he's able to get himself back into NHL shape. Or at the very least, maybe they can get something for him at the trade deadline. There's always the outside chance, of course, somebody plucks him on waivers, but at $3.33 million for Jamie McGinn, that's not very likely. So we'll see if somebody ends up taking a flyer on him before the end of the year, if Florida has to trade him and maybe retain some salary or what goes on there, but we'll see what happens. Yoki Haryu's been sent down by the Chicago Blackhawks to Rockford, and I think that's kind of overdue. He had a fantastic start to the season, looked great through the first month of the year. He has had his struggles since then. Of course, he played in the World Junior Tournament as well in December. And so now he's down in the AHL, and I think that's good for him. He'll get the ice time he needs, and it's better for developmental purposes to be at the American level, or American League level, I should say. So we'll see how that affects him and how this season ends up affecting his overall development. He has 12 assists in 37 games. But again, I think he had 9 of those assists in the first 10 games of the year, I want to say. I know he was one of their top scorers for the first month of the year. Boone Jenner's out for 1 to 3 weeks with an ankle infection. That sounds really, really painful, so hopefully that gets all cleared up and fixed up for him. Jenner, of course, sitting with 9 goals and 21 points right now, and he's going to be a key guy for the Columbus Blue Jackets, especially just once they decide what they're going to do with Panarin. If they don't get back a top 6 forward for him, Jenner may find himself with more ice time, more special teams time, all of that coming through for him if they end up getting rid of Panarin, but we still don't know what's going to happen. Antoine Vermette has announced his retirement. I used an Arizona logo because why not? He played 1,046 games in the NHL, 228 goals, 287 assists, 515 points. Vermette was a favorite of mine. I thought he was pretty solid when he was a rental for the Chicago Blackhawks, helped him get to a Stanley Cup. And that was his cup ring, and then he goes back to Arizona right after. Solid player, pretty darn good on the face-off circle. I thought the offensive potential was always there. I don't think he ever quite got to that ceiling that he showed. He could have at times that it was there. But either way, he still had a pretty solid career. Played over 1,000 games, had over 500 points. Nothing to complain about there. The New Jersey Devils acquired Ryan Murphy from the Wild. And this is just a depth move. This is nothing more than a depth move, an American Hockey League level move. I don't think Murphy plays a game for the New Jersey Devils this year. He's bounced around the league a lot after being a first-round draft pick. And your guess is as good as mine as to where all of that ends up. Usually with a player like Murphy, they'll end up playing over in the European leagues to finish things up. An interview given by Jim Benning. Benning, the most disrespected and disliked GM in the league at the time when I started having a hockey channel back in 2016, and now I don't hear a whole lot of complaining about Jim Benning, which means things are going pretty well. If fans aren't openly complaining about a general manager's job and what he's doing, then he's doing all right. It's sort of like a referee. If we don't talk about a referee after a game, he must have done pretty well. We don't ever say, you know why that was a good game? Because that referee called a great game. Doesn't happen. Now, the Canucks are unlikely to move Edler. Edler's been very outspoken that he wants to stay in Vancouver. Now, at 32 years of age on an expiring contract, there are Canuck fans who will desperately want to see the Canucks get something back for Edler. But there's some interesting things in what he said. First off, they want to make hockey trades, meaning they want to make moves that make the team better. So, not just a pure rental. And he doesn't want late first-round draft picks for a rental either. So, the kinds of trades that we see, like, for instance, the trade of Muzzin there, where Toronto gives up a first-round draft pick. Well, if Toronto does well in the playoffs, that first-round draft pick is like 26th, 27th, no. So the final 4 get the top 4 draft picks in the draft. So if you make the conference final, you get one of the top 4 draft picks. Last 4 draft picks. That's what I mean when I say playoff performance affects where that draft position is. Number 31 of the draft is your Stanley Cup champion. Number 30 is your Stanley Cup finalist that doesn't win it. Numbers 28 and 29 are your other conference finalists who don't reach the Stanley Cup final. So basically what he's saying is, look, if I'm going to be acquiring a number 28 draft pick, the odds of that guy making the NHL, not great. 29, also not great. And I'm not going to move a guy out who may be a really solid player on my team for a number 28 or number 29 draft pick. And on a plus side for Canuck fans, he said he's not trading any draft picks this year either. So that's a huge benefit, because we've seen him ship off draft picks recently where it's like, wait, why are we giving up draft picks when we shouldn't be? So with the draft coming to Vancouver, we'll see what he does from here. But I think the biggest talk going into the draft is going to be wherever Vancouver is in it. And, of course, the Wahlgren twins will get dragged back up into it. And whether or not the Canucks will draft another set of twins, since it's not going to happen. But anyways. And finally, I wanted to touch on the Matt Duchene, Mark Stone, and Ryan Dzingel extensions, and whether or not they're going to happen, or whether or not Ottawa's going to trade them. Now, of course, we all know, it's well known that the Ottawa Senators do not own their own first-round draft pick. Well, they're in a good spot to pick up draft picks. Now, if Pierre Dorion agrees with Jim Benning that they don't want a late first-round draft pick, odds are these guys aren't getting traded. But at the same time, can you actually take that chance? Can you, if you're Ottawa, take the chance on these guys leaving the team and getting nothing in return? So Dorian's kind of under some pressure here to work out a deal with these guys. And what was said last night, Elliot Friedman said he feels that there's a 10 to 12 day window with Duchene before they'll look into actually trading him, or Stone. Dzingel's the one that interests me, because he's putting up a lot of points and goals this year. And really, honestly, the Senators should be looking... I would look at signing Duchene, Dzingel, Stone. I would probably try to just get Dzingel extended first. That you would think would probably be the easiest extension to get done. And then you could sell these two guys on, hey, we're keeping Ryan around. We're going to keep you guys around as well. What you're trying to sell these guys on is, hey, don't go to market, because if you stay here in Ottawa, things are going to get pretty good pretty fast. And that's going to be a tricky sell for Pierre Dorion, because they don't have their own first-round pick, because there's been so much talk about the team being a dumpster fire, tire fire, whatever Eugene Melnick's calling it today. And so it does make it difficult. If you were in Ottawa right now, and you knew that on July 1st, you have a chance to go anywhere you want, and you'll probably get more money than you will to stay in Ottawa, do you stay in Ottawa? And that's the question that's going to be asked of all three of these guys. And I will say this. Whatever decisions these guys make, it will directly affect the job of Pierre Dorion. If he can manage to keep all three, guy's brilliant, and he should be kept on as GM for at least 2 or 3 more years. If they don't make the playoffs, and if this turns into a big mismanagement of assets with these guys, I wouldn't be surprised to see him thrown under the bus, and a new GM being brought in his place. It'll be very interesting to see what the Ottawa Senators do. I'd be interested to know what you guys think with these 3 players and what's going to happen. And we are about 3 weeks out from the deadline, so fun times ahead. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. If you're browsing your way through, just tap it upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.